So on this channel, we've talked a lot about plug-in solar, how it's really easy to take something like a microinverter, connect it to a panel, maybe hang it on a balcony and start generating your own power. But what if you can't or don't want to do this? What if you haven't got the space to put panels up? Well, today we're going to talk about the other part of the plug-in revolution, and that's plug-in batteries. Now, this video has been sponsored by EcoFlow. They've been kind enough to send me over one of their stream batteries. We're going to set this up, we're going to plug it in, we're going to configure it, and we're going to set it up so that this will just charge off cheap rate electricity overnight, and it will discharge back into the day, saving me from buying peak rate electricity. Then once we've done that, we're going to answer the one question that I'm sure everyone is asking. Will this ever pay for itself? So first things first, let's get it all unpacked, let's see what comes in the box, and then we'll get it installed. Instructions, nobody ever reads them. Power cable. Now, because this is the UK and we're not legally allowed to plug things in, and I know people are going to say it is legal, the current wiring regulations don't allow us to plug things in. The cable comes without anything on the end. This is obviously to be connected into a fuse spur. For the purposes of today's demonstration, we're going to put a plug on the end. By the time you watch this video, hopefully the legislation will have been updated. Certainly by summer of 2026, we should be in a good position. And strangely enough, EcoFlow send the cables already with crimped ends and the cable lengths all cut to make it really, really easy to put a standard UK plug on the end of it. Okay, so in the box we get the battery itself. We get a cover which will go over the back. This is just to protect any cables, just in case anything were to drop on here. You don't want it landing directly onto your cables. We get the mains cable, which we just talked about a moment ago. And in this particular case, because this is the Ultra system, this has a whole set of solar cables that are designed to allow you to plug in your solar panels directly onto the back here. We're not going to be using these today. We will be in a future video, but today all we need is this. Before we get this installed, let's just spin this around and let's talk about the connections on the back. Now, in the Stream range, the Ultra is the premium offering. You then have two other units that are designed for solar. You have the Pro and the Max. And the only difference between them is the number of what are known as MPPTs. These are where you connect your solar panels. On the Ultra, we can connect 4. On the Pro and the Max, we can do 3 on the Pro and 2 on the Max. Then there is a standalone version of this, which is just a standalone battery that doesn't have any of these, and that's called the AC Pro. Now, everything else is exactly the same. So the batteries are all 1.92 kilowatt hours. They all have 2 UK power sockets here behind the dust covers, and they all have an input and an output. So today we're going to ignore the solar input. We're just going to focus on connecting this up as a standalone battery. So it doesn't matter if you're using the Ultra, the Pro, the Max, or the AC Pro. Everything I'm about to show you will be exactly the same. Okay, so all we're going to need to do the install is our power cable that doesn't yet have a plug on it, but miraculously, one has just appeared. So this is a spare cable that I had. I've just installed a good quality plug on the end of it. I've put a 13 amp fuse in this. Now, some people would say, well, you could obviously fuse it down because this is only going to output 800 watts. But remember, when you're charging from the grid, you can charge this at 2,300 watts. So you can bring 2,300 watts in, and then you can output 800 watts back out into the house. So better to have the correctly rated fuse. I put a 13 amp in just because that was what I had available right now. But this is all we're going to need to install it. All we need to do is make sure that our ports are clean. So we're going to take our dust cover off. Now there are 2 ports, one labeled grid, one labeled par. Grid obviously connects to the grid through our plug socket. Par, that connects to a parallel cable. So if we wanted to add another battery, we would just connect this port to the grid port on the next one, and so on and so on. So let's get this into the garage, we'll get it hooked up. Now, I should say, these weigh 23 kilos, so remember, lift it correctly. You don't want to hurt your back, but just bend your knees when you lift. It's got 2 handles on the side, and we'll take it into the garage. Okay, now for the complicated part, the installation. It's not complicated at all. It's plug one end into the battery, plug the other end into the plug socket. So the one thing you will notice about this is there's no way to get this wrong. So long as you're plugging it into the grid port, that is important. There is a twist locking mechanism. So all we're going to do is just pop that into the socket and it will twist back into place and it will lock and you won't be able to pull it out. Then it really is as simple as take the other end and plug it into your socket like that. That is the installation complete. And we will see the unit power up. I just heard it click. And you'll see the lights come on and everything else we can do from the app. So I'm going to go sit outside in the sunshine where it's a little more comfortable than sitting on a garage doorstep, and we'll get it all configured and set up. Okay, so everything else we're going to do from within the EcoFlow app. Now, when I launch the app, it's going to take me into my existing system here. What I've done is created a whole new space for this new system. So we're going to say add device. As you can see on the screen, it's immediately found the device. So yeah, we'll say that's the device we want. Now it's going to go through a pairing with the device. It's found that, and it's going to ask me to set it up on my home Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go through those steps now. It's got all my credentials from my previous system, and it will go through what it's called the binding process. So that is basically setting it up on my EcoFlow account in the cloud so that I can manage the device. And I can see immediately I've got a notification from my Eero Wi-Fi system that a new device has connected to the Wi-Fi, and we're all done. Now, this is where, in my case, I've got to take one more step. But if you're setting one of these up from scratch, you won't have to do this. Because this is my 3rd EcoFlow system, I'm actually going to put it into its own space. It says, do not plug in PV panels. Yep, well, we're not plugging in any PV panels. And the next step is we have to do a software upgrade. This happens every time you get a new device, so I'm going to start that. I'm not going to make you sit here while I watch the screen and go through it all, so we will use the power of editing to whiz through and install the latest version of software on that device. So while that software is upgrading, I just want to take a moment because I really think that plug-in batteries could be the solution to a large number of people's energy bill problems. Because the vast majority of us are out during the day. We're not working from home, or we're not retired, or the vast majority of people go to work. So your energy use is confined into certain parts of the day, whether that's in the morning when you're making breakfast, in the evening when you're having dinner, maybe sitting down to watch some TV. Imagine a scenario where you could buy cheap rate energy overnight and store it in the battery. Then instead of using energy during those peak times, you could use it from the battery. If you've got kids that run gaming PCs and they run them for hours a day, all into the evening, imagine a battery that could supply most of the energy for their gaming PCs, but at a much lower rate than you'd be paying normally. And it really is as simple as one cable, plug the thing in and configure it in the app. Okay, there we go. We're now restarting. Usually takes about 30 seconds and then the system will be up online. Now it looks like, looking at this firmware update, I've got to do updates to all of my smart plugs, but we'll do that another day. Just waiting for the stream system to come back online. There we go. Now, the EcoFlow app has lots of options. There are so many different things you can do with this app. But just to give you a sort of walkthrough, you can see the house here. You can see currently the battery is importing 800 watts from the grid. That's the default out of the box behavior. We're going to stop that in a second because it's not actually importing it from the grid, it's importing it from my solar panels on my roof, and I could be earning money exporting that to the grid. So we will go through, we can take a look at the system, but we go to the settings here, and the first time you come to this app, you will find this a little bit confusing, but the two things you want to look at. So the energy delivery strategy is, how is the system going to send energy back into your house? Now, the first way is you can install the optional EcoFlow smart meter, but I'm going to use what's known as semi-automated monitoring. It's going to ask me if I want to link smart plugs. We're going to do that in a whole nother video, but I'm going to go down here to base load and I'm going to say add a period. Now this is going to be, when do I want the battery to discharge into my house? So I'm going to say, actually really what I'd like it to do is start at 1800 and run through till 2200. So now you can see here we've got 1800 to 2200, 800 watts. Now if I want to, let's say I only want to send 600 watts into the house, I can change that as well, but I'm quite happy for it to discharge 800 watts for those that time. Now, if you think about it, if I'm discharging 800 watts from a 1.9 kilowatt battery, I'm not going to get 800 watts for that whole period because we'll run the battery out. So actually what I'm going to do is just say, you know what, take it down, give me 400 watts, which is a much more reasonable base load for those 4 hours. And again, we'll probably still run out, but it doesn't matter. So that's the discharge cycle. Now we've got to tell it when to charge. And we do that through the operating mode menu. Now, what you can see here is we've got these settings for backup, reserve, and self-powered. Ignore all of that for now. Scroll right down to the bottom and go to custom. And custom is where you can set specific times for your battery to charge. So what I'm going to say here is I want you to schedule charging. I don't like the time it's got right now. It's saying from 10:30 till 13:30. So I'm just going to set it to my off-peak hours. So for me, that's 23:30. And then the next day until 5:30. So that means it has the whole off-peak period to charge and it will be fully charged in that time. Just click to tick and we're ready to go. Now I can also set the scheduled discharging from here, but I don't actually want a scheduled discharge, so we don't need to worry about it. We set that up earlier on in the app. And that's it. That's how simple it is. We set up a time for it to charge and we set up a time for it to discharge, and then we completely forget about it. We just let it do its thing every single day of the week. But if you remember at the beginning, I said we would answer probably the biggest question that gets asked about plug-in batteries. And that's, will this thing ever pay for itself? So I've already said you can buy energy cheap and you can then use that energy up instead of paying for peak energy. But how long will it take for you to actually get your money back? Well, for that, we're going to head into the office and I'm going to show you a new tool that I've created just for you to be able to answer this question. So I've come back inside because I want to show you a very simple web tool that I've created, which will help you with the calculations if a battery system like this is going to pay for itself. And all you've got to do is head over to my website, jonathantracy.com. When you get there, you should see something like this. And all I want you to do is to head up to the top of the screen, go to Tools, and then you'll see there's at the bottom there's a plug-in battery ROI calculator. And that is going to take you to this screen. Let me just bring everything into view. Okay, so this is a pretty simple tool. At the top here is the first section is what we call the tariff inputs. Now I've preloaded this with the tariffs where I live because it's my tool, but it will actually talk to Octopus and get tariff information if you put in your postcode. So if we just put in a postcode like SW1A1AA as an example, we do check postcode. And then at the bottom there, you can see SW1AA resolved to regional area C. So that lets you know that it's pulled in the tariff, and up at the top there as well, you can tell it's live tariff rates. And it has all of the Octopus tariffs for the whole country. If you're not an Octopus customer, if you go here, you'll see this other tariff, and all it will ask you to do is to put in your peak and your off-peak rates. So again, should work for just about anybody. But we will leave it on Octopus SW1A 1AA right now. I've set the nominal battery capacity to 1.92 kilowatt hours. That is the capacity of the standard stream system. If you're modeling other batteries, then you can adjust that as needed. And then I've got here daily utilization of cheap windows. Now I've set that to 100% because I'm assuming that you will charge the battery up to 100% in your whatever your off-peak window is. But again, you can change that if you want to. Then over at the side here, we've got some other information that I've set some defaults, but again, if you want to change them, you can. So the first is the round trip efficiency. So this is because when you take AC electricity and you change it to DC to store in a battery, then you take DC out of the battery and you convert it back into AC, you get some losses. It is a complete arguable point as to whether that's 80%, 85%, 90%, whatever those losses are of what you'll get back. The reason I've put it as a slider is I'll let you choose. I've set it to 90% as a default. If you don't agree with that number, then change it to whatever you want to change it to. And you can see here it's pulled in because I've got Octopus Intelligent Go selected. That's the tariff that I'm on. It's telling me that the peak rate to avoid is the day rate of 31.64 in SW1A 1AA, and the current off-peak rate, if you were to switch to Octopus Intelligent Go today, is 8 pence. And it will, no matter which tariff you select, so if you select 12-month fixed, you'll see it'll adjust these prices based on your postcode. Then it just asks you one question. Will you add solar to this system in the future? So if you're just buying this just for it to be a battery and you have no intentions or no ability to add solar to it, leave it to no. But then it says, yes, I will. I'll add 1 or 2 panels, or I'll add 3 panels, or I'll add 4 panels. The reason for asking that question is, as I said earlier, the different systems in the stream range come with different number of MPPTs or solar connections on them. So again, depending on what you plan to do in the future, but for now, we'll leave it at no. We just want to use this as a battery. So based on where I live, what my rates are, the efficiencies of my battery, we get, this is the system that you should buy. Now, the way it does that is saying, look, you've told me you don't want solar. If I told it I did want solar and I only wanted 1 or 2 panels, you'd see it would pick the Stream Max. If I told it I wanted 4 panels, then the only system in the Stream range that it would fit would be the Stream Ultra. But if we're not doing solar, we just want a battery, the AC Pro is the way to go. So it tells you here about the price, and we'll come back to where you can change the price in a moment, and how much you're going to save per day. And you can actually see that over here on the right. So we've selected our tariff. Our tariff is a 12-month fixed, the price we buy energy at, the price to avoid, our postcode, how much we're going to save per day. This is assuming 1 cycle at 100% utilization. So we're going to charge the battery all the way to 100% once a day in the cheap period. With all of that information, the return on investment is 6 years and 6 months. We can do better than that. Anyway, we'll come back to that in a moment. We'll scroll down. So it shows us the difference in payback periods. So the AC Pro will take 6.5, but based on that tariff, the Stream Ultra that I've just plugged in could take up to 12 years to pay for itself. Now, obviously, these numbers would change if you were adding solar, but we're not talking solar today. So let's see, what's the best tariff? If we're going to be using a plug-in battery, what is the best tariff for us to be on? Well, that's the 12-month fixed. So that's basically economy 7. There is Octopus Go. So this is one of the EV tariffs. So if we change that to Octopus Go, our repayment just dropped from over 6.5 years to just under 5 years. If we were to go to Octopus Intelligent Go, we're down to 4 years and 6 months. What about Flux? Well, Flux, there is no repayment. And the reason is Intelligent Flux, you basically get the same export as you get import. So there's no arbitrage there. There's no point if you're on Flux putting a battery like this in. If you're on Octopus Smart Pay As You Go, again, because of the type of tariff, there is no payback on that. Then we come to Cosy. So Cosy is a tariff that I'll be honest, I've been pretty harsh about. If you're a heat pump owner and you're on Cosy, it's not the greatest tariff. But when it comes to batteries, Cosy has an ace up its sleeve. So if we select Cosy, our repayment drops to 1 year and 6 months. So why has that happened? Well, the reason is that the Cosy tariff has 3 cheap periods a day. So there's 3 times a day that you could charge that battery back up completely 100%. Then you can use it 100%, then you can charge it back up again, and you can use it 100%, you can charge it back up again. So you get 3 cycles a day rather than just 1 cycle a day. So if you were on Cosy, these systems start to look really good because, like I said, the AC Pro, which is the entry-level standalone battery, would pay for itself in 1.5 years. Even if we went to the Ultra, we're only looking at 2 years and 10 months until it's paid for itself. So depending on your tariff, really depends how quickly these things will pay for themselves. Because if you're on a tariff where you've only got 1 cheap rate period a day, so you can charge it up at night time, now you might be able to discharge it and then recharge it in that period, but most people aren't up during the night and not using a lot of electricity. So generally, if you get 1 full cycle during the night, then you discharge 2 kilowatts into your house, or 1.9 kilowatts into your house. You can only do that once every 24 hours, but with Cosy, you can do it 3 times every 24 hours. So again, I'm going to go back, put it back on Intelligent Octopus Go, and I'm going to say, no, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to need panels. Now, again, if I scroll down past the chart there, what you'll see here is just a summary. So the AC Pro, the Stream Max, the Stream Pro, and the Stream Ultra. These are the costs today. So if you go to Amazon today, these are the prices that you will pay for these devices. I've put a buy now link in there, just purely if you do plan on buying one of these. If you click that buy now link, it will associate my my affiliate ID with them, and I'll receive a small payment in gratitude from Amazon for sending you there, and that will help support the channel. So but don't feel under any obligations. If you can get a better price somewhere else, by all means, go take that. But again, we can see here the charge cycles, the usable kilowatt hours. So that is based on up here where we've got our round trip efficiency. So if we were to set that to 85, you'll see it's dropped to 1.6 kilowatts. And again, this might be something that you vary over the life of the battery, because the battery won't, even after many, many years and thousands of cycles, you will start to lose some efficiencies. And again, the ROI comparing all the 4 different devices, if you don't want to read it from the charts there. So that's my tool. It is designed purely to answer the question, will these devices pay for themselves? And used in a pure battery arbitrage mode where you download, where you buy cheap energy and store it in the battery, and then you use it during the day. They'll pay for themselves somewhere between 1.5 years to about 6 years, depending on the tariff that you're on. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you found this interesting. This is going to be the beginning of a whole series of videos over this summer where we're going to be talking about all things plug-in solar and batteries. If you do have questions, by all means, drop them in the comments below. But next week, I'm going to be running a live stream, and during that live stream, we're going to be answering all of your questions. So if you have questions about plug-in solar, batteries, but anything to do with renewable tech, then why not come along to the live stream and get your questions answered then? So with that, I'm going to take these guys out. We're going to head out for a walk. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.